welcome to Cosplay Stitch and Seam. I'm Pannon.
I'm Vfire.
And I'm David.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. It's another week, another episode.
It's like I just saw you.
It's a good thing we like each other or something.
I know, weird. As always, our listeners at home, if you want to give us a shout out, say hi, tell us what you've been up to, there's a number of ways you can do that. First is our email, which is cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com, or
you can go to the website and fill out our contact forms there, or
join our Discord server. You thought I wasn't going to bring the energy, but here we are. I'm bringing the energy. It's our Discord server. You can find the link on our website, and we would be more than happy to have you come join us. We have a fantastic community of Work in Progress Wednesdays. We have Finished Fridays. We've got reference photos, memes, asking for help and tips, and cosplay horror stories, and everything in between. We would love to have you there. And while you're on the internet, if you want to support the show, we would love anything that you can provide in the sense of whatever is your comfort zone. You can share the podcast with a friend, just even sharing it on your social media of like, hey, I like this podcast. That helps us a lot, as well as leaving a review or rating or anything along those lines where your podcasting app allows. And of course, we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/cosplaystitch. For $3 a month, you can get a shout out every single episode. And for $5 a month, you can join our Cosplay Chronicles. We play D&D. It's cosplay themed. It's a good, silly time. So if you enjoy these nerd faces and you enjoy helping and playing silly games, we would love to have you there. That's my spiel. I'm now done talking for a moment.
Great spiel. Good
Thank
job.
you.
good spiel, yes.
Mercedes, did you want to introduce our topic for this time?
Yes, I know we've talked about this a little bit before, but I wanted to bring it up again because I'm super passionate about it. But it's an argument for original design in cosplay contests. You always just see it come up over and over again on the interwebs, at contests themselves and discussions and things about, how original designs kind of have a harder time in contests. And there are definitely valid reasons for that. But also, I don't think that they should be discouraged from contests. I think they should be encouraged, if anything. But yeah, that's my topic for today.
Nice.
I can't wait to hear about this one because I've loved original designs. I've done original design cosplays, and I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say about it.
Gosh, I really like original designs. I've done several like Pokemon gajinka that I've put into cosplay contests, or I've done like modern or like streetwear versions of different characters that I really like. I feel like, while there's like a lot of characters out there and like different designs, if you want to like incorporate a specific skill set of yours into a costume that you're going to present, I feel like there's something to be said for using your like creative side to like make it fit your skill set or make it fit a skill set you haven't tried yet or that you want to learn about. Like I've definitely picked costumes where I'm like, I've always wanted to try like this dyeing technique. And I know if I do this character, but like change a few things about it, I'll get to like try the dyeing technique and that would be fun. Or if I, whereas like other times I've been like, oh, I'm going to pick this character and maybe I don't like it as much, but it has all these techniques I've been wanting to try.
Yeah.
So I can kind of see both sides of it.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're creating an original design and you're like, I'm really good at these things, I think that's fair to do because like you were saying, Pen, like we also do that when we're just picking a regular character and there is no one way to make a character. Just because Aloy has leather armor doesn't mean you have to use real leather to create her armor. There are multiple ways of doing that. Even Wonder Woman has like 4 or 5 different, bodices that are made out of different materials depending on what she needs to be doing, the actress needs to be doing in the movie.
Sure.
Yeah, I know that like charity groups like the 501st and the Star Wars ones. I know there's a bunch of them. 501st is the only one coming to my mind right now because my brain's fried. But that one, like, they have like specific materials and things that everybody has to use. But like that makes sense because they're aiming for a certain level of screen accuracy and authenticity to feel like, oh, hey, this character is here right now for these kids. Like, that makes sense. But for like a contest, there's benefits in screen accuracy, but there's also benefits in throwing your own twist into things as well. Because cosplay is an art form. There needs to be self-expression encouraged within it, in my opinion. Yeah, because like I've done screen accurate for almost all my cosplays. I'll throw in little tiny things here and there of like Cheek's armor.
Yeah, well, like your hyper light drifter, like
Yeah.
screen accurate would be tiny little pixels and like blocks of color, and that probably wouldn't be as fun.
Well,
as
that's a valid way to do it. Like,
Yeah,
some people do that, and
totally.
it's great. But I want something that feels real for me. Yeah. Those pixels. Oh my gosh, those pixels. They drive me bonkers.
Yeah. I did want to mention, as far as like contests and like, I think we've talked about this a little in past episodes about like making sure that the contest you enter is one that you want to enter. And like if they have rules about not doing original designs, or they have like specific like rules about what an original design can win versus what an existing canon design can win, that is an important thing to know before you enter the contest.
Yeah.
So do make sure that you're reading contest rules in their entirety and things like that. Because I know for some of them, like there are contests out there where they are requiring that the best in show has to be inspired by Japanese media. And I know for some of the conventions that have that rule is in place because they are like a nonprofit with the purpose of like educating people on that specific culture. And so they want that to be part of their contest, that their contest is also celebrating that culture. And so it goes back into like whether or not they get funding, if they can prove that they are celebrating that culture or that like nonprofit idea, whatever it is that their like organization's goal is.
Yeah.
They have to like kind of cater their contest to keep that in mind. Which is like one of the only reasons I've seen people get like that specific about it.
Mm-hmm. And even then, when it's like you have that whole inspired thing, it's like, oh, hey, I can now make, Pikachu and have it be inspired, do a gajinka version where it's like the clothing is all inspired from whatever the theme of that convention is, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I love seeing original designs like that because I feel like more often than not, it can lead to innovation in a way where it's something that you haven't seen before, where it's like, I've seen, Link 100 times. I love Link. I will never bash a Link cosplayer, okay? I love it. But seeing Link done Star Wars style, whoa, that's kind of cool, right?
Sure. For me, like, when I see people get kind of like up in arms about like whether or not original designs should be allowed, or like I guess from like a judging perspective and things like that, for me, like there's usually a small section of judging that is accuracy.
I think people blow it out of proportion to think it's bigger than it actually is.
Yeah. I mean, if you're entering a craftsmanship contest, the focus should be on your craftsmanship. And while accuracy is a part of that, like if you have, say, like all the colors of your fabric are exactly accurate, but maybe it's not constructed well, I'm going to care more about how well it's constructed personally. I'm gonna like applaud you for like finding all the exactly right colors or like finding other like details that are as exacting as you can, but if they're not constructed well, I feel like that is also a weighty part of your score.
Absolutely. And
Um,
like throwing in there really quick, like how you decide to do your design is also important. And so like okay, I'm going to use Hyperlight Drifter as an example. It's a
sure.
sci-fi fantasy. So it is sci-fi in that like you've got laser guns and not lightsabers. They're hard light blades, okay? They're different.
Okay. Yeah.
They're gorgeous. But yeah, so I you've got these things that have like a sci-fi feel to them, but then there's also this fantasy-esque feel to it. It's a post-apocalyptic world. There's villages where you trade things and coins to collect, health bars to keep track of. It's super run down in this way too. So it's not like I'm building. If I were to look at this character and be like, I'm going to do all like mecha armor for it, that wouldn't make as much sense as like, I'm trying to look at this character's shirt. He has a black top that he wears. That's all we know. And most of the reference images is just a plain black top. But, looking through some of the fan art and whatnot, one of the fan arts actually did a Gambison, which I was like, I love this fan artist. I am on those same wavelengths there. A Gambison's a great idea because they're not expensive to make, depending on what materials, this world would have those kinds of materials, and Gambesons are a really great piece of armor to have. A lot of games will not use Gambesons in the right way, but that's a whole discussion for another time. But fabric armor is not weak, but it's also very affordable. And so I'm like, oh, this would really work great for a drifter who, like, his description is that drifters are characters that, they drift about, they're wanderers, and they collect stories. They travel around and collect stories from where they go to. And so I'm like, oh, this would work great for, like, easy protection. He can still move around very lightly. But also, with the storytelling part, like, I've added embroidery on my cape that I wanted it to be something that represented the story of the game because he collects stories. And so, yeah, those little thoughtful things are what I personally look for when I'm judging in an original design of how are you pulling this character in? How are you looking at the world? What would they actually wear in this world? If that's what you're aiming for. And like state your goal for your cosplay at the beginning. If you're like, I'm making a mecha Pikachu, excellent. Now I'm going to be looking for what inspirations of mecha you're using and what inspirations of Pikachu you're using. If you're like, I'm doing a mecha Pikachu and all you do is give us a yellow mecha with the red cheeks and maybe a tail, okay, that's cool. But then, like, if you add, oh yeah, he's got an electric gun, and these pieces here, like, are inspired by Pikachu's ears, but they're not like totally Pikachu's ears, or things like that. You're now pulling in more inspired and thoughtful design rather than just I painted my mech armor yellow.
Yeah, the power pack is actually supposed to replicate the electric stone from Pokemon, so it draws upon. Yeah, no, I totally see what you're saying.
Yeah. It's like you start adding in those little details, and now it's like, oh, that is inspired.
Yeah. Well, and I also think about like why people do original designs versus the canonical version of a character.
One reason being you got you've got pixels.
Well, for another being like we are, human beings, real people, and a lot of these designs are based on something fantastical, or they're based on like a celebrity who, does exist, but their body type or like skin color or hair type or something may be unattainable for the way you were born. And so I've seen people like reimagine characters in an original way that is suited to them. They're imagining themselves as this character, which I think is wonderful. Like Stan Lee himself said that like Spider-Man wears a mask because he wanted anyone to be able to imagine themselves as Spider-Man, right?
Yes.
Which I think is so cool. But like we think about other characters, like let's say Rose Quartz from Steven Universe, and I love seeing all the different versions of Rose Quartz. But like I would feel a little bit weird about it if someone who was in a thinner body decided to make themselves like a suit or something to make themselves look like they were in a bigger body, because that's accurate, but it doesn't fit the body that they have. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like I would rather that they do something that looks good for the body that they were born in, for the type of body that they have. And things like I love seeing imaginings of characters who like maybe don't have naturally curly hair or like different hair textures imagined for the people who do have those hair textures, where it's like it's really like fluffy or it's really curly or it's in braids, and it's just like it feels like that character authentically would be if they were born in a different type of body. And I think that's a really cool way to do reimaginings.
Absolutely. And going back to the body type one, it's like while you're designing that and creating uh clothing for yourself, you now have discovered, oh hey, this looks great on me. And now you know how to make, an everyday item that you can wear. And others can be inspired by that. This leads to innovation of fashion itself. Like that is fantastic and what I love to see. There's a lot of times where I'm like, oh man, I want to wear that.
Sure. Well, it's like I would love to someday cosplay as one of the Sailor Starlights from Sailor Moon. And they essentially wear like a pleather bikini sailor outfit. And it is a lot of skin, and it's like something I would have to work myself up into being comfortable with, and I might alter the costume based on that to make it more to my comfort level. And I wouldn't feel like that was necessarily an accuracy issue if I'm adjusting it in ways that better suit my body type. I feel like people who harp on like that kind of accuracy and that kind of like it must be accurate to canon and canon trumps everything. I feel like you're getting into a sense of like elitism and exclusion rather than celebrating creativity, which I feel is what like cosplay contests and craftsmanship, especially contests, are aimed toward.
Yes. Yeah, if you're going to get too caught up in the nitty-gritty details and having to have it screen accurate, maybe cosplay contests aren't what you're looking for.
Sure. And like I would say like even with look-alike contests, like there are plenty of look-alike contests that exist. And I would say like even with those, they are not necessarily geared toward who looks the most like the character. A lot of times it's like who the audience is most entertained by, who is the like sexiest version of that character. And like as long as they're setting the expectation correctly, I don't see like a reason why you can't have like different kinds of contests. But for me, I like contests that are promoting inclusion and creativity more than exclusivity. Like, it's all like well and good for you to have like your like narrow rule set, but you're excluding a lot of people and a lot of creativity by doing so, in my opinion.
I love this. I'm eating this up. I'm like, I don't even have anything to add. I'm just like, wow, okay. Because like, yeah, I think we can lose the forest for the trees when it comes to competition. Like in general of anything, like we can, when we say it's a craftsmanship competition, sometimes we forget that like it's not just accuracy, but like as you said, Pannon, it's about the craftsmanship. How well was it made? So yeah, no, I love this. This is so cool.
Yeah. Well, and it can even be like a mobility thing. Like I've seen some people do like incredible cosplays with motorized wheelchairs because that's like where their expertise lies, and that's the kind of mobility aid that they need getting through the convention. And the fact that they get to think about things in a different way and like still create a cosplay that is unique and fun and accurate to them. I think that's amazing. I think it takes so much creativity.
Absolutely. It's like keeping in mind that like not everybody's built the same, and that can be more obvious in some ways than others, and taking that into consideration of like, I'm going to add this into my cosplay, and it makes it, again, it's uniquely yours, and there is no one right way to do any of this. And I feel like cosplay and cosplay contests embrace that. The ones that I love do anyways.
Yeah. So cute. What is your favorite like type of, I guess, original design to see in a contest? What's been one that's really like blown your mind?
Oh,
I always love seeing, is it like Sunset Dragon on Instagram? I don't remember their
Oh
name.
yeah, that's one of the creators.
Yeah, I love whenever somebody does one of their cosplays of just like, yeah, I just designed one of these like gajinka style outfits, and then you see them in the wild. I think before the pandemic hit, Sudi from Silverfire Studios was wanting to do like a Chocobo Knight group cosplay, and I was super excited about doing that one. But that one also, 2020, it was a thing.
I always love seeing the cosplays that use a unique material.
Mm-hmm.
Those ones always blow my mind. Like I always love seeing like I crocheted every part of this, and it's like, what? Or the duct tape cosplays. Those ones just blow my mind. Or ones where they're like, I specifically looked at all recyclable materials for this. And like from far away, you're like, oh, sick, that's totally Darth Vader. And then you get up closer, you're like, wait, what material is this? And they're like, yeah, this is like some carpet, and like, it's like, what the heck? Those are things I love to see because it takes the materials to a whole new level, and you're like, oh, I didn't know you could do that with X, Y, or Z. And now it's like, I think on my next one, I want to try that,
Mm-hmm.
Again, innovation.
Nice.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, no, for me, I really like, and I think you know this from like the very first contest I judged you in. I like when people like put in the time to like learn something in, let's say, the like period setting that it would be in, or like what would be accurate if it were to come to life in the real world. I think with like video games or cartoons, etc., things are really simplified. And so when people take into account like, hey, like this samurai armor was crafted this specific way in like the 1400s, and that's what I decided to recreate because mine is from a video game that's set in that exact same time and place. And even though the character doesn't have things crafted this specific way, like I went and did research and did it in a way that's correct to the time period. That is so cool to me. Or like,
but
even
Beholder
if
did that. Beholder's cosplay did that with the Our Flag Means Death character.
Yes.
Yeah, made it more like accurate to time period than the actual show outfit, which was so cool.
Or even like picking something like a Pokemon or a Digimon or whatever and saying like, I did a human version of this, but it's inspired by fashion from this time and place. I think that gives you a whole other level of challenge when it comes to the accuracy of it. Because I've had both sides of this where someone will come in and tell me, this was inspired by like an 1800s ball gown. And like, I look at it and I'm like, this is like, the bodice is from the 1900s and the petticoat is from, or the hoop style is from like the 1400s. And like, you know, if you're going to tell me that you picked this time period, make sure that that's the time period you're sticking to.
Mhm.
Whereas I've also seen it where it's been incredibly accurate to a certain style or time. And like, I think you can have both sides where it's like not done well or done incredibly well. But
Yeah.
I really enjoy those, and I'm usually like floored by those because it requires that extra step of research and learning and going above and beyond.
Yeah. Actually, I want to throw in there too. Like some people argue it's like, oh, well, you could just design it to be easier to make. And I just want to believe, first of all, like, one, you can just choose a costume that's easier to make too. But
Yeah.
also you could just pick one that's easier to make. But two, like that'll come through in the judge's room. That like if you were cutting corners, it's usually pretty obvious that you were cutting corners. And you know, avoiding stuff. But if you have meaningful decisions on why you chose what you did rather than just I didn't want to do this, which also can be valid depending, you know. But it's like I didn't want to do this because, you know, rather than just being like, well, it's just too hard, I don't want to do that. But you know, I tried this because, you know, oh, I wanted to make this, you know, I wanted to cover more skin. I wanted to be more accurate to this time period. I wanted to pull in this part of the game that I really, really enjoyed and have it be part of this cosplay. Yeah, like, again, the story of Hyperlight Drifter means a lot to me. It's very beautiful. It means, so much symbolism on so much level. So, you know, my runes are also symbolic.
Well, and I would say 9 times out of 10 in the judging room, when I see someone bringing in an original design, it's because they wanted to make it harder. It's because they wanted to make it so much harder. And I feel like that's true to what I've picked as well, is like, I'll pick a character or a costume I really like, but I'll be like, there's not enough details on this. I want to add more.
I could make a plain black shirt, or I could make a gambeson.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I feel like what do you think, David? We've been the ones chatting it up this episode.
Like, I mean, I've done like fan art cosplays. I did for that the Hollow Knight. I did a personal design for Michael Carpenter from the Dresden Files. I've done an OC. I've did my D&D character. So like I've done it all, but I've never had like this validation of just like hearing like, oh yeah, that cosplay is valid. So that's just I'm basking in it. And there's something about like what you guys were saying of like I was inspired by this, or I wanted to bring in this element. When I was doing the Hollow Knight, the character is introduced in chains, like they're being suspended by chains. So I made sure that on the back of the Hollow Knight, and you may not even see it, are Warbler made chains. And Jez Roth, who was judging it, goes, "Oh, this is a great detail because," and whew,
yes,
like, somebody gets it. And it's not just like, this was more for me. I wanted to do this because I thought it would add, like you said, I want to add this detail. But when somebody gets why you do that thing, oh boy, what a high that is.
So good.
Nice. Well, we do want to hear from y'all. Like, tell us about a time that you have done an original cosplay, or when you have worked really hard to make it accurate to the original design.
We also have horror stories we got to put in here.
Yeah.
Let's do a horror story.
Okay.
Do you want to do a
horror stories? Spooky. Yeah.
Yes, we do.
I need this in my life.
I kind of want to make that like a Patreon bonus. Like, do you want this as a ringtone? Here's the file for it.
See, I'm sitting here reliving the horror of absolutely fumbling when it was horror stories goes in the episode. Yes.
You good.
We all have our own horror stories.
Yes. I am my own horror story.
This one comes from Ashley. They write, mini horror story. I have a bunch of hand sewing I need to do, and I sliced my thumb last night.
Ouch!
Good
Oh,
news,
I know that.
no stitches. But I can't get my hand wet. It is painful when I press on it. Why are you pressing on it? And I can't push a needle through my clothes.
Yep.
This could take weeks to heal properly. And yes, I did consult a medical personnel before I decided not to go to the urgent care. And I'm also being watched by medical personnel. Bonus about having a mom who is a medical personnel and taught you to take care of your own issues. I am not. Sorry?
I said that does help.
Yeah. I am not a medical professional, but you'd think I was an EMT. So hopefully that was a quick recovery for Ashley. I cannot, the number of times where it's like, do I go to the, what do I do here? When in doubt, take care of yourself kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have found that, like, if I cannot stop the bleeding, go. Also, if it involves power tools, go.
Yes. Yeah.
That's from experience.
Yep.
I'm going to throw in another one from Ashley here, just a little later down in the Discord server. Here's something that just happened. My husband, and by just almost a year ago, my husband was making curry and was shaking the jar to mix everything, and it exploded, destroying 2 patterns and getting on some fabric. One of them is white.
No.
Both patterns are out of print. One has a replaceable option. Both patterns were for 3 different costumes that I'm working on currently, but can be used for more later. Can they?
Oh, they can if you like the smell of curry, I guess.
And you got it under cold water and tied fast enough, I guess.
Ooh. Dang it.
Oh, man. Can I give a quick horror story that happened to me at HotchiCon?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Pannon, do you remember when we were sitting in Con Ops and I took off my wig cap and you were like, wow, that wig cap looks really uncomfortable. I can see the line on your head. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what it is. This one's just really not fitting comfortably. And then Vfire and I were sitting in a panel later that day, and I took off the wig because I was sweating up a storm, and I pulled off the wig cap, but the wig cap removed, but it stayed on because I was actually wearing 2 wig caps on top of each other.
Oh,
that was your problem.
That was the headache. And then once I was wearing one, it was great. Oh my gosh.
Oops. Oh, that'd do it.
That.
Oh man. Well, lesson learned.
Lesson learned.
Well, if y'all at home have any horror stories or, like I said, any stories of like your original designs and things you'd like to share with us, you can do that several ways. The first is our email, which is cosplaystitchandseam@gmail.com, or
you can go to our website and use the contact forms at cosplaystitchandseam.com, or
go to our Discord link. We've got a fantastic community that wants to hear your cosplay horror stories, or there's always fun recommendations in there. And if you want to promote anything that you're working on, we want to see it as well. And while you're on the internet, if you want to help out the show, share the podcast with a friend, share it on your social media, whatever helps. We do have a TikTok. Do you remember what the handle is, Pannon, for our TikTok?
Okay. It's Cosplay Stitch.
All right. At Cosplay Stitch. As we all pause to look at our phones for a moment.
What? No, this was uninterrupted. Completely
uninterrupted. Thank you, editing, David. Where was I? I forgot my train of thought. Support the show wherever you can, and if you have a few bucks burning a hole in your pocket, we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/cosplay stitch. Some of the amazing people that we need to thank are Cloven Creature, Rain Mice, Jack S, Cynthia Eve, Star Fetcher, Yggdrasil, Dr. Steggy, Cynics, Jazzy Kofed, Gloria Shu, and Silver Deeds.
Nice. Thanks as always to Macy Roberts for the use of her music as our theme song, and David Jeffers for Faye's amazing editing. How are those podcasts going, David?
They are going so great. Comic Trades Monthly. If you enjoy comic books and feeling like a book club environment, go over there, hang out with my friend Dane and I as we just kind of talk about a specific volume of a comic book, and we talk about the themes and what it meant to us, and we unpack that, and it's really, really fun. And if you enjoy audio dramas, go check out The Last Voice. It's an audio drama about surviving the end of the world all alone, and strange things are afoot, and the world building is one of my favorite things that I've ever written. So go check that out.
So I told a bad joke to a group of chemists. There was no reaction. Or, well, that's not true. That's not true. They laughed periodically.
Oh, it got worse.
Bye, guys. We'll see you next time.